she stepped up as my wife and handled that. And there's been many times where I've been at my lowest, and she's always been the strongest to get me back up to like, get back out there. You gotta get back out there and do what you do. Don't worry about what's happening over here. I'm gonna handle that.
It started quiet, almost invisible, like whispers slipping past velvet ropes. Then it spread fast through every block of Los Angeles like wildfire. What looked like industry gossip suddenly felt heavier, darker, and way more personal. Snoop Dogg wasn't just upset with Sean Diddy Combs. People close to the situation say he felt completely crossed. Rumors exploded that when federal agents closed in on Diddy in late 2024, it wasn't random timing at all. It was personal. The talk wasn't about money or power. It was about loyalty being shattered. And at the center of it all was the one thing Snoop had always said came first: his wife, Shante. By the time Diddy was arrested on September 16, 2024, insiders claimed the two icons hadn't spoken for months. Sources alleged their relationship hit a breaking point when Snoop learned what he believed crossed an unforgivable line. Word behind the scenes suggested Diddy had been connected to Shante during private industry gatherings that later became part of a federal investigation. These claims remain allegations, but the fallout was explosive. When Combs was convicted in November 2025 and sentenced to more than 4 years in prison, people started asking serious questions. How did investigators gather such detailed insight into those private events? Names, records, timelines, too much to be coincidence. One theory began circulating louder than the rest, that Snoop had helped connect the dots. The two men had shared overlapping circles for years, moving through the same elite spaces. Their legacies were born from the same golden era of hip-hop, but insiders say the bond was never as solid as it looked. Snoop built his brand on loyalty and consistency, while Diddy thrived on spectacle and control. When the federal case expanded into allegations of organized misconduct and exploitation, some believed insider cooperation helped turn rumors into formal charges.
Well, she just a strong black woman off the tippy. You know what I mean?
But this story doesn't start in courtrooms or headlines. It starts with a marriage. Shante Broadus, born and raised in Long Beach, met Calvin Broadus long before the world knew him as Snoop Dogg. They were teenagers at Long Beach Polytechnic High School, just 2 kids before fame entered the picture. They went to prom together, married in June 1997, and stayed solid through nearly 3 decades in an industry known for temptation. She stood beside him when Death Row Records collapsed, when his career shifted, and when he rebuilt himself into a global figure and businessman. In 2021, Shante officially became his manager, overseeing ventures in wellness, gaming, and television. Snoop called her his final gut check, the last voice he trusted before signing anything major.
You see, Snoop Dogg saying he owns Death Row is no different than me saying Tupac was alive because I had the unreleased Tupac music. It ain't no different, bro.
That bond made the alleged betrayal hit even harder. Things reportedly shifted in early 2024 when Suge Knight, calling from prison, began stirring old tension through his podcast, Collect Call, in February. Knight posted a photo of Shante in Hawaii with another man and wrote, "I'll pray your wife stop going to Hawaii with other men." The post came after Snoop publicly wrote, "I'm praying for that brother that he finds peace." Within hours, speculation exploded online. Some dismissed it as prison talk. Others believe Knight knew exactly where to strike. Behind closed doors, those close to Snoop say his mood changed fast. He became quieter, sharper, and distant, focused, but cold. Then, weeks later, federal agents raided Diddy's homes in Los Angeles and Miami as part of a growing investigation into alleged coercive behavior and exploitation. A lawsuit filed earlier by Cassie Ventura had already outlined disturbing claims about controlled private events. Referred to in court as freak-off, testimony during the 2025 trial confirmed that multiple high-profile guests had attended these gatherings.
Same kind of extortion that we heard when Cassie took the stand and testified on that airplane ride back from France. Diddy said, "You don't do a freak-off, I'm going to release one of the freak-off videos that you are profiled in and humiliate you."
What remained unclear was how investigators obtained names, footage, and financial records. That unanswered question fueled even more speculation. Attention turned towards Snoop. He had attended Diddy's events in the past, but reportedly distanced himself after 2020 when tension between their circles grew.
The turmoil and the stuff that I put her through in my journey on becoming successful, because I had no understanding of what I was doing her, how I was hurting her.
Those who know Snoop say he's always been protective of his image, and even more protective of Shante. He'd survived his own controversies. A 2013 lawsuit later dismissed, social media accusations, influencer gossip, all of it. Through every storm, Shante stayed solid. By late 2023, she was managing his NBC The Voice bookings and expanding their Broadus collection brand. To discover that another powerful figure once trusted may have crossed a line was described by one associate as unforgivable. People close to the situation traced the retaliation to early 2024 after Suge Knight's Hawaii post reignited old wounds. Snoop's public prayer looked calm, but insiders say he was furious behind the scenes. Within weeks, reports surfaced that federal agents contacted a major industry figure tied to Diddy's social network. When Diddy was arrested that September, court filings described an unnamed longtime West Coast artist turned entrepreneur. To those paying attention, the clues were loud. Still, this wasn't just about revenge. It was about protection. The investigation touched dozens of celebrities, and rumors swirled about recorded evidence showing recognizable faces.
You get to be the age that we at and you get to become as successful as we are, you have to start doing some things that matter for the future.
Cooperation may have been about keeping his family out of the fallout. Public sympathy leaned towards Shante. For 27 years, she balanced loyalty, independence, and silence. Often staying behind the scenes, Snoop once described her as the good to my bad, and in this storm, she became the center of everything. By early 2025, the picture-perfect image was starting to crack. Fans noticed Shante appearing alone at major industry events, paired with cryptic captions about trust and truth that sent speculation into overdrive. Online chatter questioned whether the foundation of her marriage with Snoop was under pressure.
Your wife's been by you for your whole
She's your high
career.
school
Your high school sweetheart. She is.
Never leave home without it.
Yeah, that's right. But how has she kind of taken you on this journey? Tell us about her.
I think my wife has been my best friend for a couple of reasons. One is that she always understood who I was and who I needed to become.
Long before the Diddy fallout hit its peak, Suge Knight's podcast poured gasoline on the rumors again, hinting that the lady of the house wasn't always present in the way people assumed. Snoop said nothing, and that silence spoke louder than any interview ever could. While Diddy's trial played out in New York, Snoop stayed far from cameras, appearing publicly only once at an NBC event in March 2025. When reporters pressed him about the case, he shut it down completely. What few understood at the time was just how close his name sat to the edges of the investigation. During the trial, prosecutors referenced communications from a third party, a trusted industry veteran, who had provided corroborating details about Diddy's private gatherings. According to insiders, the material included venue locations, timelines, and guest logistics spanning nearly a decade. Nothing flashy, just structured data, the kind that holds weight in federal court.
A lot of times you would have him with a younger female, and there's a power dynamic there. A more impressionable girl is easier to reel in. Consent is between the people that are engaging, and I wasn't there in these situations to understand the consent.
As Diddy began serving his sentence at MDC Brooklyn, whispers spread that Snoop was quietly relieved, not celebrating publicly, not posting online, just moving differently the way powerful people do when a storm finally clears.
Tick-tock, the clock is ticking on Diddy, because on Friday he finds out what his sentence is going to be, but today he found out what prosecutors would like that sentence to be, and it is vastly different from what his attorneys have suggested to the judge. Prosecutors want him to do 11 years, just over 11 years.
But beneath that outcome sits a heavier question. If the motive was protection, why are there quiet rumors that Snoop himself had things he didn't want exposed? Sources suggest that some files connected to the case include names investigators have yet to reveal. According to two former staffers, one of those names may belong to someone far closer to Snoop's inner circle than anyone expected. As the investigation expanded, it became clear that Snoop's cooperation wasn't just about emotion or retaliation. It looked calculated, part of a broader strategy to protect everything he built over decades. Reputation, family, business, all of it. When Snoop acquired the rights to Death Row Records in 2023, it was framed as a full-circle moment in hip-hop history. But Suge Knight didn't see redemption. He saw betrayal. From prison, Knight repeatedly claimed the deal was illegitimate, accusing hidden legal maneuvers and corporate pressure. Whether valid or not, those claims added another layer of tension to an already volatile timeline. What raised eyebrows was how fast the acquisition moved, and how quickly Death Row was reshaped into a cleaner, digital-first brand. For someone once associated with raw street energy, the transformation felt deliberate, a rebrand not just of a label, but of identity itself. Industry analysts believe Snoop's alignment with federal authorities during the Diddy case may have been designed to shield his brand from any future scrutiny. Many of the same investigators involved in the case were reportedly reviewing other entertainment entities for financial irregularities. Positioning himself as a cooperating figure rather than a subject of interest would be a smart move. It's the kind of chess play usually seen in corporate boardrooms, not rap studios, but Snoop has always lived in both worlds. The former Dogg father had evolved into a careful architect, knowing exactly when to distance himself and when to share information. And standing at the center of it all was Shante Broadus. Though outsiders rarely saw her role clearly, publicly, she appeared as the loyal wife navigating public scrutiny. Behind the scenes, insiders paint a much more strategic picture. As Snoop's official manager since 2021, Shante wasn't watching from the sidelines. She helped guide major business pivots, from the death row acquisition to rejecting risky platforms, pushing toward television, endorsements, and long-term brand stability. When allegations connected to Diddy began surfacing, sources say Shante advised Snoop to distance himself legally and morally from anything tied to Combs' lifestyle. At the time, that phrase sounded cautious. Now it sounds precise. Did she sense what was coming? Was she shielding her husband or positioning him ahead of a storm that would permanently separate his image from one of the most controversial figures in modern entertainment? Some insiders go further, alleging that Shante played a role in organizing information that later reached authorities. One former assistant claims that throughout 2024, digital records and archived communications were quietly collected, including scheduling details from promoters and event organizers connected to Diddy's circle. If true, that would shift the narrative entirely. It would mean Shante wasn't just reacting, she was preparing, and that the same woman allegedly affected by betrayal became a key figure in dismantling an empire built on secrecy.
Diddy, obviously just starting out his time, well, not just starting out, but starting out his official sentence since being sentenced not too long ago. And I think suffice to say it's not going well so far.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, he's got 4 years and change that he's going to ultimately have to serve, although he has served already a year as he awaited his trial and then went through his trial. So
that contradiction, victim and strategist, is what keeps this story alive. It's also important to remember that the case against Diddy didn't rely on a single lawsuit or one voice. Prosecutors built it using layered testimony, timestamps, and verified logistical data. Information that matched private events stretching back nearly 10 years. Some of those events took place on the West Coast at properties linked to entertainment companies connected through extended industry networks. That overlap continues to raise questions that haven't been answered yet. Could it really be a coincidence that Snoop later purchased one of those same properties through a holding company back in 2022? Maybe. But the timing raises serious questions about just how tightly these moguls' worlds were connected, and how carefully Snoop may have been pulling away before the storm ever hit. At the same time, Suge Knight's podcast turned into a non-stop megaphone for speculation. From behind bars, Knight warned that a tell-all book was coming, promising to expose who really sold out who. He hinted that Snoop's rise from death row artist to global businessman was built on deals with devils in suits. Given Knight's history, many brushed it off as bitterness from prison. But when federal agents started subpoenaing financial records from old death row affiliates, Knight's words suddenly didn't sound so random. If that book ever sees the light of day, it could trigger another industry-wide shockwave, one that forces hip-hop to re-examine the alliances that shaped its biggest era. While Snoop quietly reinforced his empire, Diddy's world collapsed in full public view. At sentencing in late 2025, the man once defined by flash and dominance looked drained, admitting in court, "I got lost in excess."
We all know that. I have to say, I'd never heard of this movie, and I have little kids. It was called Lightyear from 2022. I have absolutely no problem with the content. Like, he had a problem with the content in that movie. I have no problem at all. I thought that was presented as a brief history part of this movie. It wasn't a big part of the movie, and gay couples exist, and gay marriage is legal, and I found it all completely unproblematic. That said,
that single sentence summed it all up. The wealth, the control, the appetite that fueled his rise and his fall. Prosecutors outlined how influence and fear were allegedly used to hold his inner circle together. Testimony from multiple witnesses described private encounters that blurred the line between loyalty and manipulation. His conviction on transportation-related charges carried less time than some expected, but the symbolism was massive. A once untouchable mogul was now confined to an 8x10 cell at MDC Brooklyn, and the contrast couldn't be sharper. While Diddy wakes up on steel, Snoop wakes up to board meetings, family dinners, and a brand stretching from music to gaming. It's a complete reversal, one that has the entire industry whispering. Did Snoop outplay a system that once threatened him? Or is he just another survivor who learned when to trade silence for security? Either way, his grip on death row, his ties to major networks, and his polished public image have positioned him as one of the last untouchables from that generation. Still, the whispers are growing louder. Reports suggest Diddy has been quietly speaking with journalists from behind bars, hinting at new names. If he's ever offered a sentence reduction, and if those names reach into Snoop's inner circle, this saga could explode all over again. Then there's Shante. Her upcoming memoir, Paid the Cost to Be the Boss Lady, promises to unpack her life in the spotlight and the lessons learned along the way. No one knows if she'll address the rumors or the Diddy connection, but the timing is impossible to ignore. One carefully written chapter could either quiet the noise or confirm it. Meanwhile, insiders warn that Snoop's cooperation with federal authorities may not stop with one case. Ongoing files reportedly involve other prominent figures who attended the same events now under scrutiny. If Snoop remains in contact with investigators, it could mean another wave is already forming. One former label executive put it bluntly: if he helped once, he can help again. And everybody knows it. That fear alone is already reshaping the industry, with artists quietly distancing themselves from both sides, desperate not to get caught in the next chapter. And that's the bigger picture here. This isn't just about revenge or punishment. It could be a full reckoning for an entire era of hip-hop. A generation that once ruled through swagger and secrecy is now facing a time where nothing stays buried. At the center stand Snoop and Shante, one representing legacy, the other loyalty, both holding knowledge that could shake the culture they helped build. But questions still hang heavy. Did Snoop move to protect his wife or his empire? Was Shante a betrayed partner or the silent strategist? Are Suge Knight's accusations tied to the same network that brought Diddy down? And if Snoop gave authorities what they needed once, who could be next? In a world built on fame and secrecy, power never lasts forever. It only changes hands. This story is far from finished. There are messages still hidden, testimonies still sealed, and voices still too scared to speak. Diddy's downfall may have closed one chapter, but the book is wide open. Now we want to hear from you. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think this was protection, strategy, or something deeper? If you found this breakdown interesting, hit like, share this video, and subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. We'll see you in the next one, because this storm is nowhere near over.